You know, it's kind of wild when you think about it, but we spend something like 90% of our lives inside. And yet, we almost never stop to think about how our offices, our homes, are actually affecting our health and our productivity. So today, we're diving into this idea of healthy buildings and the massive, overlooked opportunity they represent for our well being and for the bottom line.
There's this fantastic quote from Winston Churchill that really sets the stage for this. He wasn't just being poetic here. He was making a very real argument that the way the British Parliament was designed, with two sides facing each other, directly influenced their confrontational, two-party political system. It's such a powerful idea. Our spaces are not neutral. They're actively shaping our behavior, how we interact, and as we're about to see, even our physical health.
Okay, so to really get a feel for how much our buildings can shape things, I want to tell you a true story. It's a case study in decision-making that, on the surface, makes absolutely zero sense. All right, so the story starts in a hospital, and it's a tragic one. A patient dies from Legionnaire's disease, which is a really severe pneumonia you can get from bacteria that grows in a building's water system. So after this tragedy, the hospital ends up settling a lawsuit with the patient's family. And the price tag? We're talking several $1,000,000. A huge financial blow, not to mention the hit to their reputation.
Not long after that, a public health expert comes to the hospital with a plan, a really clear, proactive way to manage this risk and make sure something like this could never, ever happen again.
And get this, the cost for this whole prevention plan? A mere $20,000. I mean, that's just a tiny fraction of the multi-million-dollar settlement they had just paid out.
So, what would you do? Seriously, put yourself in their shoes for a second. You've just forked over millions because your building had a failure. Now you have a chance to stop it from ever happening again for a tiny fraction of that cost. It's a no-brainer, right?
Well, you're not going to believe this. The hospital said no. They actually turned down the $20,000 plan. It sounds completely insane until you understand the hidden logic behind it.
And the reason why is this weird economic quirk called split incentives. See that multi-million-dollar settlement? That was paid by the insurance company. But the $20,000 prevention plan, that had to come out of the facilities department's already tight budget. So the group paying the cost wasn't the group that was going to benefit from avoiding another disaster. This one story just perfectly captures a huge roadblock to creating healthier buildings.
Okay, so let's zoom out from this one hospital. Because that story, well, that's really just a symptom of a much, much bigger issue. It's something we can call the 90% problem.
All right, so here's the first 90%. Get ready for this. Study after study shows that people in places like Europe and North America spend, on average, 90% of their time indoors. To put that in perspective, by the time you're 40 years old, you've probably spent 36 of those years inside a building. We are, for all practical purposes, an indoor species.
And here's the other 90%, and this one is crucial for any business. For a typical company, about 90% of their operating costs, it's not the rent, it's not the electricity, it's the people. It's their salaries and benefits.
There's actually a great way to visualize this. It's called the 330-300 rule. Just look at this chart. Annually, for every square foot, a company might spend about $3 on utilities, maybe $30 on rent, but then a whopping $300 on payroll. You see where the real money is? It's not in the energy bills, it's invested in people.
And this is where it all clicks into place. For years, the green building movement has done amazing work, right? They've focused on that $3 slice of the pie, saving energy, saving water. And that's super important. That's the 1%. But the healthy building movement, well, that's the next big step. It shifts the focus to that huge $300 investment in people. It asks, how can we make our buildings optimize the health and performance of our most valuable asset?
Okay, so if we are this indoor species, spending all our time inside, what does that actually do to our health? Well, that brings us to something called sick building syndrome. This term actually popped up back in the 80s. See, after the oil crisis, we got really good at sealing up our buildings to save energy. The problem was, we accidentally trapped all the pollutants inside with us. Suddenly, office workers started getting these mysterious headaches, feeling tired, all these symptoms that would magically disappear the second they left the office. The building itself was literally making them sick. And where does all this bad air come from? Well, it's like a three-pronged attack on our health. First, you've got pollution from the outside. Think traffic fumes. That just sneaks right in. Then you've got all the stuff inside that's polluting the air, from cleaning supplies to the chemicals in your desk. And finally, if you live or work in a big building, your neighbor's air can become your air, and you get all of their pollutants too. Now, I know this all sounds a little grim, right? But here's the good news.
Once you understand the problem, you can start to see the solution. And honestly, that solution is a massive opportunity.
It really is a win-win. For us, for people, it means better health, better well-being. And for businesses, it's a total game changer. A healthy building can help you attract and keep the best people, it can boost everyone's productivity, and yeah, it directly helps the bottom line.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Healthy buildings aren't just some passing trend. They are the next logical evolution in how we think about the spaces we live and work in. It's all about making that strategic shift, moving away from just trying to save that 1% on energy, and instead focusing on how we can unlock the incredible potential of that 90% we spend on people.
So, we'll leave you with this one final thought. The next time you walk into your office, or even your own home, just ask yourself, is this building helping me thrive, or is it just making me sick?